Hi, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I'm going to shoot a couple today, kind of a quick one here, and then I'll turn around and do the one that I'd planned before. But I wanted to do this one because I've heard more and more people, and I see it on YouTube, people talking about the possibility of civil war. I didn't put this, I don't know what I'll name this, but this isn't meant to be clickbait at all. It's meant to really give a couple of my thoughts on it. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the politics because this isn't meant to be a political channel. This is meant to be a preparedness channel. And I've thought about putting in a second channel for the political aspects, and I might, because it's certainly not that I don't have my opinions. Anybody who's read my books, excuse me while I set down my Second Amendment mug with the Minuteman on it. If you've read my books, let's see which is which, the Reversion and the Revival, you will know what my political thoughts are. But I try not to mix those up here because any number of things can bring about the need for being prepared. Anyway, getting back to the possibilities of a civil war. I get around quite a bit around the country, and I see a lot of things, as you all do. We are fragmented. That's no surprise to anybody that's seen these, who just wakes up in the morning. But if you've seen these maps about, the voting patterns, the fragmentation is obvious. It's been coming for a long time. This isn't something that just started. And how far you want to take it back is, up to anybody. Everybody can have a different opinion on that. But the important thing is that it's culminated in what we are dealing with today. As I drive around, I see a number of things that surprise me. One of which is the spread of the show of what most people mistakenly call the Confederate flag. Those of us who know different know that that battle flag that people call the Confederate flag is not the Confederate flag. Most people wouldn't recognize the true Confederate flag or flags, as there were several. If they saw it, most of them, I think, mistake it for either the flag of Texas or one of the original colonial revolutionary flags. But I've seen it very interesting. I've seen the spread. Now, it was always displayed in many of the areas that I go. But I've been interested to see it in many parts of the country where I had not seen it before. And that indicates a feeling on the part of people. And I should go interject here for anybody who may be watching this who doesn't understand. That flag does mean something to people, to some people, and it's a matter of heritage. And anyone who thinks that what was called here, and I'm going to explain this in a minute, what people call the Civil War here in the United States was not a civil war at all. And anyone who thinks that it was about slavery, as the T-shirt says, needs a history lesson. So I'm not going to give that history lesson here. And if anybody wants to jump up and down in the comments on it, don't. Just don't. Go and do your own research, and I do suggest that you do your own research. Understanding that, one of the best resources that I suggest to people who are interested in learning about this, who don't know about it, is a book written by Jefferson Davis. Now, anybody who knows, he was the president of the Confederate States, and he wrote a book called A Brief History of the Confederacy. And it's probably the most complete yet concise piece of writing on the constitutionality and the historical basis for secession. And that's what that war was. It wasn't a civil war, which is two different groups fighting for control of the same government. It was a secession, a group of people who decided that they could not live under the oppression of a government anymore, and decided to separate themselves, as it says in the Declaration of Independence, separate themselves from that government that was oppressing them. Now, people are going to throw in all sorts of things about slavery here, and I suggest and I encourage you, before you do that, learn about it, because most people don't have any idea of the truth of that situation. Anyway, so it's a very, and essentially what that was, the Civil War, it was a secession, and not even a violent rebellion like our Revolutionary War was. So anyway, I'm going to stop it there. If I decide to open up a political channel, maybe I'll get into all that. But there are a couple of people that already have well-established YouTube channels that I'm going to direct you to, and you probably already know them. Anybody who's been on YouTube and follows this kind of thing for any amount of time already knows them. There are a couple of the biggies, but this is for people who may be starting to follow me because they know me and may not be aware of these. One, and I'm going to ask my son to put these down in the links, these specific ones that they've just come out with. One is Reid Henrichs, and the other of Valor Ridge, and the other is Patriot Nurse. And each of them have come out in the last couple of days with, I think, very interesting videos on this. And I'm not gonna get into the politics any more than that, but this is something that I encourage you to watch, to think about, and then really do your own thinking. Think about this. Learn about this situation. We have one of the biggest problems of the world is people who have opinions and think things that aren't based in fact, that they haven't done their own homework on. And I used to tell my students, don't believe anything just because I said it. Hopefully I will say things because they're true, but they're not true because I said it. Do your own. If something that I say sparks your curiosity or makes you want to look into something, good, but do your own homework so that you understand it. So that if somebody asks you why something, you don't have to say, well, Steve Smith said. Okay, well, it's not true because Steve Smith said it. Okay, do your own homework so that you know what you're talking about, so that you can explain it to other people in a thoughtful and reasonable way. And that's the way that the truth gets around. We have far too many people jumping up and down and yelling lies, and sometimes the people that speak the truth do so quietly, and so they don't get the same airtime as the screamers. So I do encourage you to watch those two. And also, I would say, don't get all excited about the possibility of a civil war, because it'd suck. Yeah, I mean, it would be bad, big time. Don't be fearful about it. If this is something that's been growing for a while, and whether it's going to lead to and it's not, like I say, it's not going to be a civil war anyway. It would be a totally different kind of thing. Don't worry about it, because this is one of the things that you should be preparing for. No matter what happens, you should be preparing so that you and your family and those people around you who depend on you, or who may be part of your group or whatever, can survive whatever comes along with a minimum of adjustment. Well, I almost got into some of what happened in the South, but I won't. Anyway, approach this with a reasonable mind. Don't wish for it, but look at it realistically. Study it, know what you're talking about, and so that you have reasons for what you feel. So this was kind of a serious one, but so many people are talking about it, and things do seem to be moving at a fairly rapid rate with this fragmentation in our country, and it's a crying shame, and I hate to see it, but these things happen. So anyway, I'm going to shut this off right now and have my guru polish this, and I'm going to get right back and making the second one for today, which will be answering a reader's question, which I think is a great question. So thank you for listening. Do check out those two I suggest, Reid Henrichs and Patriot Nurse, and they address something very important. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.